Hello, I am the Reading Rainbow Emperor, and today I'm reviewing Jason Unbach and Nick Cole's Sword of the Legion, another book in the Galaxy's Edge series, fifth in this fifth in the lineup of the main season. Uh, it's pretty good. Sword of the Legion is something like catharsis after the climax of Attack of the Shadows. Attack of Shadows. That those always gonna mess me up. Time for a smoke and a heart to heart before jumping out of a window when you're asked for your name. It's a sly wink before ramping up the flirtation and asking a girl for her number. Then her boyfriend punches you in the face. This entry into the series has less intense combat compared to later and earlier books, and characters I really like Ravi, come forwards for some really great scenes that stick with me after reading it. The comedy, usually more tame in other books, becomes uproarious with their sentient missiles and their philosophical arguments. That tickled me pink. Sort of like, hey, will me blowing up in this thing kill a lot of humans? Yeah, it'll kill a lot of bad humans. Oh, goody. Not that I needed them to be bad. He's like, I'm never letting Garrett do that again. Ah, poor guy. Strike Team Victory is sent on a mission to destroy the Tarago shipyards and prevent them being used for Goth Solus's purpose. Now, long story short, they succeed. It's pretty good. Seeing Wraith in Dark Ops gear and, his modified Dark Ops gear, and how these professional soldiers react to misdirection and violence is, as always, pretty great. Mm. It never dips too deep into comedy. It never dip. It keeps its violent nature. It's a perfect balance. You have to have these serious scenes where they're setting the reactor to blow. Then you have the missiles arguing about the value of human life, and then you have a scene where a poor sentry is killed because he was staring at a helmet that was obviously a trap. Like on a stick. It's like, hey, buddy. Hey, hey. And then all of a sudden he sees these giant hands come around. Oh no. The B-side story with Andean and Hutch teams kidnapping Wraith crew suits me better. Partially because Fish and Sticks, the new members of Strike Team Victory, aren't that much for me. Sorry. Their infiltration into the data routing center and the following ambush is a great class on tension and relevance for an otherwise unimportant fight. The pacing and character introductions are also pretty great for unimportant characters, and they feel like as much of a team as Victory Squad is. There's this great scene where they're shooting and firing at the shock troopers that are trying to capture them, and one of them drags his buddy in. And it just felt really natural, as well as Andian's um, narration on it. But the end of the book, with Prisma's introduction to the Quantum by Ravi, and various characters escaping or captured by Kronos, does great work to set up the tension for the next set of books. The build up of the strange and wondrous system that Kronos is hiding in, the silent and tomb-like ship, and the revelation of the protocol droid's purpose is some of the best writing in the series, honestly. I've noticed a scene like this in every book. Chune's fight with Frog on the Pride of Ankalor, Bombassa's storming of the governor's escaped Corvette and mansion, the assault on the gas station mining facility, and Tyrus Rex's fight with Gossalis are all standout scenes in standout books. Chune's fight is tense, personal, and the culmination of Frog's story that was narrated by Cale Maydoun in just the most perfect way. Bombassa's storming of the governor's escape corvette captained, of course, by Captain DeSakes, who will come in later. He's a great guy. Is violent, tense, and then brought back to violence in just the right way, and so on and so forth with the other examples. These things are always the things that I remember well after the fact. While Bombassa's storming of the Corvette is relatively short compared to the rest of the book, it lasts and feels much more important than it is. Each of these are similar There's a buildup of tension that works off or is separate from the main plot. We don't know Goth Solus and Tyrus Rex history yet. Then there's new tension added. Frog meets Chun, or Mombasa is running up the stairs before the governor can take off, and so on. Characters meet in battle, and a well written fight happens. Frog's knife fight with Chun is absolutely the best part of Kill Team. It's quick and it has weight. If Chun dies here, their hope fails despite Maydoon's help. Bombasa's pulse pounding race to the Corvette and the super tense fight in the stairwell beforehand has much the same beats. Bombasa must reach the Corvette before it leaves, causes him to fail the mission. The fight up into and up the stairs of the governor's mansion is violent and cuts from various characters' perspectives in ways that do not jar me from my read. Thinking about this, and the various smaller cuts in the middle of the larger narratives show up often in many different Star Wars esque works and in larger battles and other works besides. I've noticed that best of them end with the character dying sometime in the book, or it's kind of a hard cut, more like. Um, Essentially, we have a reason to smoothly move our point of view from character X to unimportant dude back to character X again. What's more, these are presented during frenetic and violent action scenes that allow for character point of view movement, much like a World War II movie with several different shots moving around, say, the storming of Normandy. It isn't jarring, and it allows for better views away from the main character. Main character can't die under normal circumstances, so having a perspective of a dying main character can only happen once, and then that perspective is lost forever. It cannot be repeated within the book series or with the same character without losing something of its nature. Cloning, mind transference, and necromancy, used to revive a character, are fundamentally ways to resurrect the body, but ultimately change a character's perspective on life, except in the case of Delos Arkel, but his perspective is based on whoever members of him are alive when he transfers his mind. Therefore, whoever is alive is the main Delos as Arkel, and there's no change in his goals or perspective. But that's even more different, and I'm gonna do a video about it sometime. Um, and that's in the Count to a Trillion series. Boop boop by John C. Wright. Uh, it's a way to ultimately change perspective on life. If it doesn't change it, you're probably dealing with a terrible story or with a character whose perspective is fundamentally alien to a normal human perspective. Because that perspective is lost, the outline of the book will revolve around the action and events that you've set up. Um, and the story will be forced into, excuse me, the story will be forced into a different ending than one the reader might expect if they go in thinking that the character cannot die. In other words, if Bombasa had died in the stairwell or missed the jump to the Corvette, various events in the story would be different. No one would have captured the governor or given Goth Solus the laser cutter that saved his life in Imperator. Uh, or joined with the heroes in the end. Spoilers. The scenes with Kronos and the Netherop Shadow team aren't great dramatic one-on-one fights, but rather the springing of a trap, and it has the tension of the trap. You can feel it build up, and even in the infiltration of the Deadage Storage Center is for this purpose and calls ahead to it. They are looking for the hidden fleet. It's like an appetizer to the main course. Time enough is given to let us dread them coming to the hidden fleet. Then more pages are dedicated to the silence and the strange protocol droid. Then the trap is sprung, and it's all hyperviolence as the members are captured or picked off one by one. Some escape, some are tortured to death, and others, like Prisma, are held in the guts of Kronos, and the Cybar are revealed to be coming nearer. This is all in service of a great story, of course. Sadly, though, this book has some great scenes but falls short of its predecessor and is less interesting than Prisoners of Darkness, its successor. It's a less direct effect on the plot than Turning Point or Message for the Dead. It takes a minute to remember that most of the book, especially most of the Tarago scenes with Wraith and Co., is sort of a staging ground. It's a well-written staging ground, of course, and it will be overshadowed by the importance of everything else that's happening around it. It has to happen, but at the same time, it doesn't have the same feeling of Kill Team. I like it better. In other words, it's a 9 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10, as Attack of Shadows is. If you can get what I'm dishing out, of course. It's a great breather episode, really, as we start the begin the build up of to Retribution, which really, in my opinion, starts off at Prisoners of Darkness, because this is just this is just setting up everything. Like it's like, okay, here's Kronos. Okay, it's got this. It's got Prisma. This is Wraith's motivation going forward, so on and so forth. He wants that crew back that he kidnapped and coerced into joining, and so on and so forth. But it's as worthy as all the other books in the series. To all the Legies out there, KTF, and don't forget nothing. Link to Attack of, hmm, link to Sword of the Legion will be down in the doobly doo. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my novel writing mentoring course on Fiverr if you think I know what I'm talking about. You're all wonderful, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.